I mean, I look at this team, the left tackle spot to me is a trouble spot. The center spot is a trouble spot. They obviously had to go out and get an inside linebacker to play next to Devin Bush and maybe even play for Devin Bush in coverage. You still, you've got issues as to who the third and the fourth cornerback are. You got to figure out who's going to be the running backs behind Najee Harris. I think you've got to figure out who your fourth receiver is. The tight ends, I think, are pretty good at catching the ball, not so good at blocking. I mean, Rich, I get it. Dwayne Haskins and Mason Rudolph, it's a fun little storyline. It's interesting. But frankly, you know what? If you're a Steeler fan, you don't want those guys playing anyway because that means Ben Roethlisberger is hurt. So to me, I think that storyline, I get it. Dwayne Haskins did look good last night. It's wonderful. I hope that the battle goes on and even maybe goes into next year and they battle for the starting job next year. But for me, I just feel like this is a story that is so irrelevant in the grand scheme of things because they've got a lot of other issues that need to be solved.
I see your point, but I think it's relevant right now because we're only seeing these quarterbacks. We're going to see Ben Roethlisberger next week. But I think a lot of people are a little optimistic about what potentially Haskins can do for this team maybe next year or the year after if Roethlisberger does retire. I think the one thing with Haskins, he brings that pedigree, that first-round pedigree. And I think people are intrigued by that. I think fans are. I think the coaches are, too. I don't know if he could be a starter in the NFL. He had his chances in Washington. Things didn't work out for him there. Not so much of what happened on the field, but maybe more of what happened off the field. But, I think he potentially, I don't know what he was promised, but I think potentially we could be looking at maybe the next starting quarterback for the Steelers.
Well, there's no question. I mean, but we, again, we're 2 preseason games into this year, Rich, and there happens to be a starting quarterback already in place here this year.
I'm impatient, Paul. I'm sorry. I'm impatient. I'm impatient.
I get it, but I'm just saying there already is a quarterback here in place. Can we at least get like halfway through this season before we start worrying about who the quarterback next year is going to be? That's all I'm saying. I mean, again, I get it. And I understand it. Look, I'm in the talk radio business. It's an easy storyline. It's great to talk about. Dwayne Haskins has sort of, made this camp a little bit more exciting. But to me, I watched that game last night. I mean, did you see the one play where, Kendrick Green and Haig and a couple of other guys almost got Mason Rudolph killed because they just got bulldozered over? They had, a couple of penalties that killed drives. To me, Pat Freiermuth got a penalty, a holding penalty that killed a play. To me, these are things that are really far more important in the grand scheme of this season than anything that happens with the backup quarterback. I mean, look, if Ben Roethlisberger gets hurt or goes down, okay, now all of a sudden we're talking about those two guys and it's relevant. But as for me right now, the guys that are on the air before me, they're really excited about Dwayne Haskins for some reason. I can't get that excited.
They're probably wishing that Jameis Winston's around.
Right, Jameis Winston. I mean, there was a time there where Pony wanted to trade for every quarterback that came on the market. So now he's got a new toy, in Dwayne Haskins. And, of course, he'll be great until he throws like 2 interceptions, and then all of a sudden Pony will run him out of town and call him a bun.
All right, so I'm going to get into a lot of these positions that we were talking about a little bit later in the show. But before we go to break, Paul, one thing I do want to ask you is, are you encouraged by what the Steelers are doing this year? Because, I was thinking about this on the ride from Philadelphia to Pittsburgh. They're making moves. Ben Roethlisberger's coming back. They trade for Joe Schobert. They're making moves. They get Melvin Ingram. I think that they think they can really compete for a Super Bowl, even though maybe the outside doesn't see it, but I think that they really do believe that they can compete this year.
Well, I mean, I think that's very encouraging. The fact that they have basically not sat still, the fact that they've gone out and tried to create as much competition as they can and fill as many holes as they can. I mean, it's clear, Rich. I mean, you mentioned Ingram. There's Trey Turner they brought in. Haig, who obviously doesn't look like he's very good, but they brought him in. Schobert, they went out and got him. It's very clear they're trying to plug holes and trying to figure out, how to put together the best possible roster to put around Ben Roethlisberger. If this is his last year, it means it's their last shot to really go for it with him. And that's what they've tried to do. I mean, I think it's important that you note that they have gone out and got all these veteran guys.
All right, the phone lines are open, 412-575-2600 on the Bordas and Bordas hotline. We're taking your phone calls after the break. Stay right there.